Good morning and welcome to Ebona at the 103.5 FM. Today, the 24th day of January 2024, and the time is a minute past the hour of 7 this Wednesday morning. It's time for newspaper headlines on Ebona at the 103.5 FM. We are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers. But before we do that, let's go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
Do you know that you have the right to quality broadcasting? The National Broadcasting Commission says any person, group of persons, or organization aggrieved by the content of a broadcast or the conduct of a broadcast station may lodge a complaint to the station and or write to the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, number 20, Ibrahim Taiwo Street, Asokoro, Abuja, or send a mail via info@nbc.gov.ng. Please ensure that the complaint includes name of the broadcast station, title of the program, date and time of broadcast, and essence of the complaint. Also, remember to include your name, address, telephone number, email, and append your signature. Note that the complaint must reach the NBC within 14 days of the queried broadcast. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting.
You're welcome back to newspaper headlines on Ebona at the 103.5 FM. This morning, we are going to take you through the news, making the headlines on the Guardian newspaper, Leadership, Vanguard, Punch, Daily Post, Sun newspaper, This Day, The Nation, and if time permits, we are also going to take a look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 08096661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we are live at Ebonade 103.5 FM. Drop your comment on the comment section of the live video. You can equally stream us online via mixlr.com/gistfm. I am Martin. Let's get started with the Guardian newspaper this morning. Federal government hands over 700 megawatts Zungeru to MESL may stabilize national grid. Federal government hands over 700 megawatts Zungeru to MESL may stabilize national grid. Coalition warns against unregulated technologies, policies. NIHORT, Agric Ministry, train women, youths. Coalition advocates unbiased investigation in public institutions. Discordant tunes trail closure of Edo Government House Chapel. 2025 broadband target dicey as 31 states remain undeserved. Blinken, Tinubu hold bilateral talks on security, economic cooperation. Anglican Bishop hails Obi for rebuilding dilapidated hospital. Ijaw youths set for showdown over sale of Shell's onshore assets. Court strikes out suit challenging legality of presidential peace pact in Rivers. NMPCL, Total Energies, deepen investment in economy, infrastructure. Court orders CAC to register new professional body for lawyers. Human Rights Writers Association false calls for suspension of NYSC, urges improved security funding. Pay attention to youths. Catholic bishop charges Dominicans. Lagos state government seeks collaborative efforts to curb disaster. Oyo monarchs pledge to support governor on security, war against illegal mining. 12 in police net over NMPP, APC supporters clash in Kanu. Pay attention, we've taken this. Ekiti residents laments high cost of goods, services. Lagos state government orders closure of Lekki Conservation Center over 40 walkway. Ibadan explosion, proper monitoring of migrants key to security. Ibadan explosion, proper monitoring of migrants key to security. Federal government considers backward integration to boost production of medical kits. Federal government assures operators in oil, gas sector of equal treatment. National minimum wage. Tax must be done well, TUC. We cannot achieve much without love, First Lady tells Christians. Police nabs notorious wanted street gangster in Kaduna. Firearms proliferation. Cultism in Edo worrisome. Police. Firearms proliferation. Cultism in Edo worrisome. Police. NEMA commiserates with Lagos traders over Mandela's building fire. And that's the much we can take from the Guardian newspaper this morning. From the Guardian newspaper, we'll flip over to Leadership newspaper this morning. AFCON, Cameroon faces Nigeria in last 16 after beating Gambia 3-2. AFCON, Cameroon faced Nigeria in last 16 after beating Gambia 3-2. Poor power generation linked to gas supply hiccup. Oil workers reject Shell's $2.4 billion asset sale, declare strike notice. Credible elections. INEC wants attention on candidates, supporters. We paid 55 million naira to free all Akadria sisters family. Residents differ on planned review of Kanu Emirates. The perils of one-party dominance in local government elections. Subsidy removal. Bayelsa workers waiting endlessly for palliatives. One day, one trouble. Insecurity, probe terrorism, financing now. Northern elders, civil society organizations tell Tinubu. Leadership award a motivation to do more for people. Bauchi Emir. Leadership award, a motivation to do more for people. Bauchi Emir. Many feared killed in fresh Plateau attack. Subsidy removal. Bayelsa workers waiting endlessly for palliatives. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Leadership newspaper this morning. Kogi government clears JAMB registration fees for 15,000 public school students. Nigeria must fix corruption, investment issues, Blinken. May it Allah's president, not with us, DSS. Many feared killed in fresh Plateau attack. Recruits in security agencies paid less than 50,000 naira monthly. Ndume. Nigeria needs 500,000 data protection officers, says NDPC. Senegal beat Guinea as both advance to knockout stage. AFCON. Cameroon beat Gambia 3-2, set up round 16 encounter with Nigeria. Yul Edochie quits Nollywood, announced new calling as preacher. Stay clear of market politics. Anambra Commissioner of Police warns police officers. Troops rescue 4 kidnapped victims in Kebbi. Federal government optimistic about mass production of insect-resistant maize. Police recruitment. 6 arrested for forging credentials in Adamawa. Tinubu, Blinken hold bilateral meeting. Many feared killed. Houses burnt in fresh Plateau crisis. Nigerian Security Civil Defense Corps intercepts truck loaded with stolen rail tracks, arrests suspects. Measles cases rise in Europe, World Health Organization. High Court dismisses suit against Tinubu's intervention in Rivers political crisis. Tell the truth on Nnamdi Kanu's arrest, detention. Ohaneze urges Buhari. Why we impeached Oluomo as Speaker, Ogun lawmaker. Plateau Assembly resumes, denies 16 sacked PDP lawmakers entry. Conflicting court rulings spark confusion in Rivers. APC to Fubara present 2024 budget properly to House of Assembly. Governor Mufwang slams 24-hour curfew on Plateau local government area. Alleged 583 million naira fraud. Allow EFCC do its job. Mumin tells Nigerians. Still on the stories making the headlines on the leadership newspaper this morning. Ogun Business Summit. Poor power generation linked to gas supply hiccup. Air Peace expands Africa connectivity with Abidjan route. Oil workers reject Shell's $2.4 billion asset sale. And that's the much we can take from the leadership newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the leadership newspaper, we'll flip over to Vanguard newspaper. Kidnapping. Wike asks Abuja councils to strengthen vigilance teams, procure more vehicles. How federal government orders gain 1.05 trillion naira from naira depreciation. Court orders registration of new lawyers association to rival MBA. Japa 32,462 Nigerians apply for passports in 2 weeks. Babatunde Fashola's pension claims. CBN's power play. What lies beneath the banking drama? Democracy, governance, and the Nigerian condition by Usman. Between MBC and MRA, what happens to regulation now? Why Southeast governors should stop interfering in traditional institutions matters. Monarchs. America. Anambra meets on technological advancement. How federal government orders gain, we've taken this. Implement hashtag NSAS reports. US tells federal government. Rivers crisis. Rivers elders kick as court churns suit against Tinubu's peace pact. Nigeria must be restructured to end insecurity. Gani Adams. Why we impeached Speaker, Ogun Assembly. Governor Rada directs all Katsina government officials to declare assets. Ghana sacked coach Chris Hughton after AFCON exit. Insecurity. Inspector General of Police upgrades Police Intel Department. Post 54 ACPs to commands nationwide. Standoff in Plateau as police battles 16 sacked PDP lawmakers. Ondo civil servant slums dies in hotel. US pastor who pocketed investors $1.3 million says God told him to do it. Implement hashtag NSAS reports. US tells federal government. We've taken this. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Abia Radio TV invasion. BON, NUJ, NGE, Carpet Police. Federal government awaits forensic investigation into cause of Ibadan explosion. Abuse of ways and means worsened inflation. Kwankwaso, others remain expelled, NMPP insists. And that's the much we can take from the Vanguard newspaper this morning. And from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll flip over to the Punch newspaper. 3 billion naira fraud, Oyoita. Others awarded contracts to own firms, EFCC alleges. Kidnapping epidemic, Kanu. 9 others, more death sentence, life jail. Federal government, IFAD, distributes agro inputs to 619 Nasarawa farmers. NAF pledges respect for human rights. Ex-MBA president backs court on Alternative Lawyers Association. May it Allah. DSS disagree over leaders' arrest. Many feared killed, houses burnt in fresh Plateau crisis. We haven't received senators' December salaries. Kaduna bombing victims. Trump closes in on Biden rematch after New Hemisphere win. Abiodun not behind Ogun Speaker's impeachment, says lawmakers. Blinken meets Tinubu, pledges $45 million security fund for Nigeria. Others. Troops raid Kebbi terrorist hideout, free kidnapped victims. UNICEF trains 285,000 Borno children orphaned by Boko Haram. Edo APC denies screening governorship aspirants. Oyo monarchs meet Makinde over Ibadan explosion. Adeleke boost microcredit agency with 1 billion naira. Para 101-year-old monarch begs for salary arrears. Akwa Ibom cuts spending on official private jet. Mixed feelings in Kogi as Bello winds up down. Politicians woo Ododo. Mixed feelings in Kogi as Bello winds down. Politicians woo Ododo. Plateau Assembly sits as police tear gas sacked PDP lawmakers. Non-governmental organization wants media involvement in Castena peace moves. Wara monarchs settle communal disputes, preach peaceful coexistence. Agency trains officials to boost service delivery. 545 Sanwo-Olu cares beneficiaries got financial aid, SA. Abiodu swears in 3 judges, 2 permanent secretaries. Styrofoam causes environmental havoc, diseases, says LASEPA. Styrofoam causes environmental havoc, diseases, says LASEPA. Lawyers groan as Osun court closure enters 2 months. INEC meets security agencies over February 3rd by-elections. Sule, behind ordeal of denied Nasarawa PDP women party share. Court remands analysts over Kanu Emirate controversy. Nigerians lambast Wike for downplaying abduction epidemic. Gombe, civil society organizations ask GOSIEC to conduct credible local government poll. That's the much we can take from the Punch newspaper this morning. From the Punch newspaper, we'll flip over to Daily Post newspaper. Relocation of CBN units. There will be political consequences. Ndume. Para Assembly backs Governor Abu Razak on renovation of State Hotel with 17 billion naira. Corruption. Start acting like whistleblowers. ICPC to Nigerian students. Castena. Governor Rada orders all public officials to declare assets. This episode, an exception. Rose Vivo speaks after paying £778 to Chika Jones. Fire destroys goods worth millions of naira in Oyo market. GRV agrees to settle his wife's debt. Chika Jones. Buni reacts to Damaturu fire incident, cautions against recklessness. Tinubu vows to strengthen investment in petroleum industry. Niger state government drags 3 hydropower stations to court over grand rent. Town leadership tussle. Enugu community seeks Governor Mba's urgent intervention. Federal government to install security surveillance system along Abuja-Kaduna highway. That's the much we can take from the Daily Post newspaper this morning. And from the Daily Post newspaper, we'll flip over to the Nation newspaper. Tinubu seeks U.S. support for G20 membership, Security Council seat, by-elections, INEC, security agents meet. National minimum wage must be done well, says Trade Union Congress. Articles S-aid to court. Restrain PDP's national chairman, orders from leading party. Court strikes out suit challenging Tinubu's intervention in Rivers crisis. Who succeeds Sheikh Abua as Baba Adini of Lagos. Oshobo chief buries mother-in-law. FEM Foundation undertake medical outreach in Oshun. More jobs coming as FEM plans LPG depot. Disaster management. Reform emergency agencies, says non-governmental organization. Still on the stories making headlines on the Nation newspaper this morning. Tiers of government share 1.1 trillion naira from Federation account revenue. US seeks removal of barriers to investment. Jimo intensifies Ondo 2024 consultation. Shake-up in police intelligence operations. Storm in Plateau House of Assembly. How ex-HOS Oyoita laundered funds while in service by EFCC witness. How ex-HOS Oyoita laundered funds while in service by EFCC witness. Why we removed Speaker Uluomo by Ogun lawmaker. President promises development of Niger Delta at meeting with monarchs. Let gains of reform reflect on citizens, says Yusuf. US seeks removal of barriers to investment. That's the much we can take from the Nation newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from the Nation newspaper, we'll flip over to the Sun newspaper. The Sun Award winners 2023, Aliko Dangote, Man of the Year. The Sun Award winners 2023, Tony Elumelu, Man of the Year. The Sun Award winners 2023, Innocent Chukuma, Man of the Year. Rivers crisis, court voice Fubara's 2024 budget. Ibadan explosion, culprits will face justice. Succor for victims underway. for the federal government. Federal government to set up more marriage registries across Nigeria. Lagos market building fire impacted 6,700 traders, 450 shops, others. NEMA. Student loan. No economically challenged person will be left out. Tinubu's inclusive government pronouncement boost to citizens' confidence. Christian Association of Nigeria. Mufwang imposes 24 hours curfew on Mangu over renewed killings. The Sun Award winner 2023, Peter Mba, Governor of the Year. The Sun Award winner 2023, Dapo Abiodun, Governor of the Year. Drama as Plateau Speaker bars 16 APC PDP members from resuming legislative duties. Edo Guba, friends pick 50 million naira nomination forms for Okpeboro. INEC raises alarm over plans to disrupt February 3rd rerun by elections. Group endorses Ogun Central Technocrat as Abiodu's successor. Obi, Bode George, Middle Belt Forum tackle Tinubu over insecurity. PDP, fresh crisis as Showumi asks court to stop Damagun-led national leadership. Lagos state government pays 57.7 billion naira to 16,340 pensioners in 5 years. Our impulse in oil and gas will safeguard, enhance investments. Tinubu. Insecurity, 4,357 killed in 2023. Stefanos report. Federal government eyes 100,000 jobs, 50,000 empty cooking gas with new depot. AXA, Mansard Health donates medical equipment to General Hospital Ikorodu, tackling unwholesome proliferate governance practices with risk-based solution. Still on the stories making the headlines on the Sun newspaper this morning. Enugu senators lifeline to firefighters. Jaba syndrome shouldn't discourage corporate organizations from investing in human resources. Nwabike. That's the much we can take from the Sun newspaper this morning. You are listening to newspaper headlines on Ebona at the 103.5 FM. We will now go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue on the stories making the headlines. Please stay with us.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonadi FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be. Street report is here to make sense of it all. Street report is causing social change across your streets. In your community. Street report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifanish, SR number the force every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebona 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds in your face. On Martin Ebona the corner 24/7, 24/7.
Family Family is the foundation of the society. Now, this way, never na 103.5 FM, wherever I got it, local Basale is in
Papa, mama, na ụmụaka maka ịmata ihe gbasara ezinụlọ sonyere classic lady
FUMNR, classic lady.
n'ebe ọ na-adị 103.5
FM, no girl the amazing woman. Canada Garage every Tuesday and Friday, 3 to 4 p.m.
Biko nwanne m bịakene ka m jụọ gị kedu ebe m ga-enweta ezigbo MC maka mmemme a na-akwado?
Itamajụajụ kpọọ Shaka Shaka the latest MC in town ka occasion gị anwa bụrụ ya. Ị na-achọ ezigbo MC maọbụ DJ na agbamakwụkwọ go, agbamnkwụ go, child dedication go, imepe ụlọ, ọ bụzi ụmụ akwụkwọ na-eme graduation maọbụ end of the year party. Shaka Shaka bịa na mmemme ahụ. Ị mara na I love you bụ Selekuze. Kpọọ ya n'akara ekwentị ndị a
09022670547 maọbụ WhatsApp 07030366888.
ụmụnne Shaka Shaka.
Man is a political animal. That's why we all have our views on politics. Political View comes to you at Ebonade 103.5 FM with Martin Ifeanyi Chukwuekinzie every Monday, 3 o'clock p.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. It's all about the day-to-day activities in the Nigerian political space. Views of political actors from various political parties on political process. Views of labor leaders. And most importantly, your views. Views of the common Nigerian. Tune in to Ebonade 103.5 FM or you join online via mixlr.com/gistfm every Monday and Saturday. What are your political views? Keep a date.
Ndewonu, aka m bụ Mmụta Josephine Ujunwa, abụ m Adaogidi 2024. Ana m asị ka unu na-ege ebe ọ na-adị 103.5 FM Ogidi.
You're welcome back to Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember that you can become part of the conversation by sending your reactions via SMS or WhatsApp messages on 080-96661035. You can as well join us on Facebook as we're live at Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Drop your comments on the comment section of the live video. We are on to this day newspaper. We will provide security agencies whatever will make FCT safe, secure. Ndume to Tinubu, there will be consequences for moving CBN departments, FAAN, to Lagos. Over 90 Nigerian lecturers benefit from Total Energies NMPC University Exchange Program with Massachusetts Institute. Over 19 Nigerian lecturers benefit from Total Energies NMPC University Exchange Program with Massachusetts Institute. IFC invests $20 million in African 50 Fund to support sustainable infrastructure development. At bilateral talks, Blinken says Tinubu's reforms are bold. Ndume to Tinubu, there will be consequences for moving CBN departments. We've taken this. President to issue executive order to protect medical manufacturing stem further exits. Tinubu Nigeria will step up inventions in oil and gas sector for enhancement of investment values. Ministry to implement a presidential directive on IPPIS in tertiary institutions. EITI, how incessant sack of NEITI boards impact Nigeria's transparency ranking. IFC invests $20 million in Africa 50 Fund to support sustainable infrastructure development. Analysts, increase in currency outside banking, fueling rise in insecurity. Risk, drawing focus on insurance capacity as business safety net. Raging battle over 9.6 billion naira group life insurance cash. TGI unveils Terra Gold Cube. Ibadan, explosion. NCRIB condoles Governor Seyi Makinde, victims' relatives. Federal government, agro dealers to enforce compliance in sale of certified farm inputs. Federal government, agro dealers to enforce compliance in sale of certified farm inputs. Federal government must encourage new listing to boost market participation, tax revenue. Ogumbi assures on mutual benefits contribution to economic growth. Chukwu, there should be conservative, caution approach to banking sector recapitalization. As APC prepares for Edo Guba primary, Oba squares up to Soludo in Anambra. Abiodu's long walk to judicial victory in Ogun. Profligacy in the name of foreign investment drive. When kidnappers rule. Oshomule in a fix on who to choose in Edo. Are FCT residents suffering due to rivers crisis? Igadalu, an aspirant for Greater Edo 2024. Still on the stories making the headlines on This Day newspaper. Looted funds and Nigeria's public accountability gaps. The kidnapped nation. Mr. President, I'm your people. Aliko Dangote, take a bow. And that's the much we can take from This Day newspaper this morning. Still on the stories making the headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning from This Day newspaper, we'll flip over to Nigerian Tribune. Bauchi governor harps on ethics, integrity in civil service. Lagos government, LCCI, seek collaboration in infrastructure, economic development. Alleged 320 million naira money laundering. Court dismisses reps no case submission. It's time to answer God's call, Yul Edochie says as he unveils ministry. NEMA DG tax Nigerians on safety measures. Visit Lagos over Mandela's building fire. I received threats over comments on powerful Nigerians behind banditry, illegal mining. Alaka. Why Abakiari fought me till death. Femi Adesina. CCC evangelist becomes Adeboye's professorial share occupier in Unilag. CCC evangelist becomes Adeboye's professorial share occupier in University of Lagos. Ogun Assembly Speaker Uluomo impeached. Federal government inaugurates ethics committee to regulate health research. Oyo Assembly confirms appointment of new SUBEP Education Trust Fund Chairman, NIPSS, PBDC to train professionals on data mining. Gombe Governor Inuwa parlays investors at Nigeria-India Business Forum. FAAN relocation. Arewa stakeholders dissociate self from protests. MBMA, AHBN to implement health policy to fortify national security. Ibadan explosion. Oyo Obas declares support for control of mining activities. U.S. organization group train para teachers, students on E-STEM, robotics. U.S. organization group train para teachers, students on E-STEM, robotics. Delta, Governor Oborowori appoints 2 commissioners after 7 months in office. And that's the much we can take from the Nigerian Tribune this morning. That will also mark the conclusion of all that we have for you on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. We'll now flip over to our WhatsApp portal to bring you reactions this morning. From our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have this message coming from the boss from Okuzu, and he says, Ibadan bomb blast should be taken serious to avoid more. Boss continued and says, Nnamdi Kanu and Buhari, who is terrorist. Okay, Nigeria. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message coming from Agunabo. He's joining us from Ofa Aguluzibo, and he says, in Nigeria, how do we expect the leaders to probe terrorist supporter? And then killing in Plateau is need to be condemned by women in Nigeria and consigned Nnamdi Kanu detained. Igbos need explanation from Buhari if our elders would demand for it to secure his release, and kidnapping in Abuja is very laughable and need to be checked. The sponsor from that Abuja hyenas. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message coming from a famous Christian. He's joining us from Aguluzibo, Ifite, village Aguluzibo, and he says EFCC probe on former governor Obiano. He should be properly investigated. If found guilty as charged, he should face the wrath of the law squarely. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from Ogugwa Kenneth Okuchuku from Umuobanam, Umuobalichi Kingdom, and it says federal government with their audio visions without visible to the reality. Nigeria is more divided and verged to collapse. He says insecurities in Nigeria is a time bomb that want to blow, and the federal government is not doing anything to control the insecurities in Nigeria, and it affected our economy drastically. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from young grandma from Odumo, and she says, does it mean that the killings in Plateau State is beyond what the federal government control? I don't understand. Chai, Nigeria governor, please, this is too much. Arise and do something. Young grandma from Odume. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Chike Obata from Obinetito Okozu, and it says kudos to P2B for all the help to hospital and schools. Cameroon versus Nigeria will be very hard. Plateau again. Government agency should look into this insecurity in the state. May the soul of those affected rest in peace. Let Ohanezes speak about Nnamdi Kanu release too. For this illegal detention, I joined P2B and others to tackle Tinubu over insecurity. I ask again, why relocating CBN to Lagos? Is it because, he said, Onye Chiba Elebe Futeya. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, we have this message. It's coming from Polimuizu from Onitsha. And it says, insecurity in Abuja, Wike cannot serve two masters, Abuja and Rivers State. You can serve Abuja or Rivers. Polimuizu from Onitsha. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from Comrade Ibudu from Apagana. And it says, killing, kidnapping, and property destruction happens in Nigeria more than development. Reason why this question is not only for the security in the country, but for everybody. think on how your child, your brother, your sister, or any of your relatives will be tomorrow or next when you are no more? Did you think these bad things you do will yield a good result? Development is a teamwork. Please let other Nigerians have sense ahead of what they see today. Being a hero or legend is not by destroying or killing others illegally. Congratulations to Yul Edochie on his evangelism. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have a message. It is coming from Valentine Edene from Mpo, and it says there are many things that federal government of Nigeria is yet to implement. Not only hashtag NSAS, sacking white men that is roaming around capital territory. Are they spy or destroying Nigerian economy, or trying to end or trying us to end corruption or what? Valentine Edene from Mpo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Waloto Patrick from Monteja, and it says the issue of national minimum wage in Nigeria has become a protected and recurrent phenomenon, which is not to be so in an ideal situation. Then let me ask, is Nigeria progressing or retrogressing? Please let somebody help me answer this question, let alone I cannot understand why a civil servant, particularly in the local government system, a graduate for that the reason, who is a grade level 10, who will be earning less than 60,000 naira in a month, while the cost of living continues to skyrocket on daily basis. And upon that, the person is subjected to a clock in, clock out exercise, which means all civil servants, particularly in the local government system in Anambra State, are expected to come to work every day on no matter where he or she is coming from. Then by the end of the month, he must have spent nearly all his salaries and transportation alone, while all other responsibilities such as feeding, paying house rents, paying school fees for the children, medical bills, and all other unforeseen emergencies will be left undone. And yet that person is a worker. Then tell me why that person should be dedicated to his or her duties. Please let the government do the needful before it becomes too late. Waloto Patrick from Monteja, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message. It's coming from Christian Ufondo from Onitsha, and it says, tell the truth about Nnamdi Kanu abduction, said by Ohaneze to Buhari. One thing is that Buhari knew everything about the abduction of Nnamdi Kanu, but he did not want to disclose it because the actions towards Nnamdi Kanu was quite inhuman. We knew the gravity of the offense committed by the presidency against Nnamdi Kanu as a person, and we must not relent in fighting for his rights as a human. So if Buhari said the truth or not, we must ever be on it. And he says, President promised development of Niger Delta. Developing Niger Delta has become an example of what is called any government in power. Do you know the reason why I said so? It is because whenever a president gets himself in the seat of power, he will do fast to promise Niger Delta that he will put smile on their faces. But alas, you will find that all the series of promises will be in vain. The president knows that they are doing. Okay, they know what they are doing. They do it so that the indigenes may allow them use the oil in their land to enrich themselves, not for Nigerians. And he continued and says, Wike should go and sit down. Wike is trying to tell us that he has the capacity to stop insecurity in Federal Capital Territory, but he was not able to stop the one that had happened in his state when he was the governor of Rivers State. I can prove it beyond the reasonable doubt that Wike is only trying to make himself relevant before his paymasters, nothing more. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, now we have this message. It's coming from Honorable Obasi, aka Authority is More Than Power. And he says 6 people found in Adamawa State with a forgery certificate wanted to join Nigerian police force. It's a welcome development, but they have to face the maximum punishment according to the law, because if they have succeeded joining the Nigerian police force, they will be the bad ones among the Nigerian police force. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from Amecha Nene from Uru Weremkwelogidi, and it says killing is getting out of hands in Nigeria. Let our security do the needful. May God help us in this country called Nigeria. We also have a message. This one is coming from White Lion of Africa, and it says the rate of insecurity in Nigeria shows that the federal government is not capable of handling the country. Ogun Speaker impeachment. The governor must be looking for a loyal speaker. I don't believe the governor is unaware. The government should invest more on the youth to curb insecurities in Nigeria. Market fire outbreaks in Nigeria should be taken serious. I sympathize with the victims nationwide. Wike should concentrate on FCT. He should leave Governor Fubara alone. Yul Edochie decision, a divine intervention. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have a message from Valentine Edene from Mpo once more, and he says, moving Central Bank of Nigeria to Lagos is one of Tinubu's agenda or New Year resolution. How can this benefit masses? Valentine Edene from Mokbo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Still on our WhatsApp portal this morning, we have a message. This one is coming from Aja from Udume, and he says, I just want to tell all the Igbo elites to fight for their brother and forget sentiments. Kano is the only key to open the door. Aja from Udume, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll now flip over to our SMS portal to bring your reactions this morning. As we are with network on our SMS portal this morning, we flip over to our Facebook portal to bring you reactions this morning. We have a message coming from Dr. Mrs. Mma Olebara from Owerri, and she says 32,462 32,462 apply for passport in 2 weeks. This is a very serious issue. If this government does not rise up to ensure that things change for better, 90% of Nigerians will japa, leaving government to govern the leaders alone. Nigerians have suffered enough and we cannot continue like this. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Mrs. Simma Olebara. Then we have a message coming from also Francis Nnamani, and he says, the incessant killings, banditry, kidnapping, and other forms of insecurity in this country is becoming worrisome, alarming, and nothing to write home about. The federal government, the federal and states should explore more measures towards tackling the spate of insecurity in the country. May God help us. Also, Francis Nnamani from Amagunze, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have this message. It's coming from Chinwoba Ume, and he says, Agonabu, joining us from Ofa Aguluzibo, and he says, what I want to say here is, why did the governor put curfew in Plateau killings to suffer masses instead of fishing the killers? Because let our security agencies or services do the needful. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Also, Francis came again and says there is a need for total restructuring of this country in order to get things right. He also continued and says, okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Also, Francis Nnamani from Enugu State. On our SMS portal, the nation would have become like America. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Honorable Onyedika Osakwe. Then we have a message coming from Iweka Ikenga Iweka Ifani from Ikengo Gidi, and he says the death and massacre going on in the northern Nigeria is too much. Every day you hear scores die in Plateau. Okay, your message is not complete, but thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now we have this message that says, change hands. What is killing a buffalo is in its own waist bone. We cannot get it well as the goods are interested with their bones. Everybody wants to be a leader at the same time. If the attention that is given to kangaroo issues is given to curb insurgency, the nation would have been like America. Okay, Honorable Onyedika Osakwe, but he started by saying it is only impeachment and consigned court verdicts that are given accelerated attention, where so many things and hampers must have a leader at the same time. If the attention that is given to kangaroo, okay, issues is given to curb insurgencies, the nation would have been like, okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Honorable Onyedika or Sakwe. We have a message this morning that says the ongoing removal of central bank from Abuja and other federal parastatals like FAAN to Lagos is a welcome development, and kudos to Super Eagles on their victory again. Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. On our WhatsApp portal, we have a message coming from Kenneth Ndubisi Okafor from Umweze, Umunachi, and it says EFCC arraigns Governor Obiano today for 4 billion naira fraud. I wish EFCC is sincere in fighting corruption. By now, all the politicians should be in prison. Where is the money recovered so far by EFCC and we still borrow? Moreover, monarchs in Anambra State should talk with one voice and avoid Jacob's porridge, which reduce their respect and integrity. Their attitudes and actions have propelled Governor Soludo to interfere on the abuse of tradition. Congratulations to Yul Edochie for answering God's call. Pray God grace and strength upon him. Kenneth Ndubisi Okafor from Umweze, Umunachi, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This is the spot where we'll call it a day on this particular edition of Newspaper Headlines on Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Remember, it comes your way weekdays in the morning. Once is 7 o'clock, so keep a date and don't touch the dial of Ebona, the 103.5 FM. Once it's 8:20, we'll be back with Bid the Splash. Until we meet again, I am Martin. Have a beautiful morning.
How best can we talk about the challenges we are having on our streets, our community, our society in general? Street report. If we do not address these challenges on Ebonadi FM, who will? As the happenings around us get as complicated as they can be. Street report is here to make sense of it all. Street report is causing social change across your streets. In your community. Street report is here with hardcore journalism to get to the roots of our problem. Why don't you join me, Martin Ifanyu, as our number the first every Friday, 4:30 p.m. on Ebonadi 103.5 FM as Street Reports unfolds in your face. On Emas in Ebonadi corner 24/7, 24/7.
Family is the foundation of the society. Now, never 103.5 FM, wherever I can.